Hello and welcome to Journaling Through the Years episode. Let me do that again. Hello and welcome to Journaling Through the Years episode 78. I am Leah Liz, and let me start again. Hello, welcome.
Flipping through the pages of my old journals, with every turn another memory.
Okay, hello, welcome to Journaling Through the Years episode 78. I am Leah Liz, and this is a series on this channel wherein I read from my journals that I've been old enough. Nope, not old enough. That I've been old enough. Okay, go back. We'll get it. Hello, and welcome to Journaling Through the Years, episode 78. I am Leah Liz, and this is a series on this channel wherein I read from my journals that I've been writing in since I was old enough to hold a pen or a pencil. And this is the sophomore through junior year summer journal. And there is a little bit of a trigger warning, although we've been getting away from that. So I think by this time, maybe the depression had lifted. I was in a better place. Maybe some of the people that were hurting me were gone from my life. And also maybe some of the medication was working. So things were a little bit less depressing. A little bit. This one is I went back because I had skipped this one originally and went back and I'm like, no, this could be funny. Because this entails, do you remember when we were reading about the Vineyard Club friends? We talked about what a Vineyard Club friend was. What's a Vineyard Club? And then in that circle of friends, there was the root of all evil boy. Well, this is another boy that I had a crush on, and I don't even know if he had a nickname, but we'll just call him D. And it has to do with him, but this is written now, so it's like I'm so grown up, I'm past that time when I had a crush on him, and those are my friends. We're all in a different place now because we're in high school and not in middle school or something like that. I don't know. June 17th. So it starts with my friend who it's labeled that's not her name, but I'm gonna call her it's stuck. She's trapped in her home, longing for a place to go without having any place to go. Okay. So summer in high school, not having to drive. What do you do with your life? You don't have school. Who do you want to go hang out with? I don't know. She reads me a letter to an old friend of hers. We talk about sex and other turn-ons. So we probably were, and she had a long-term boyfriend, so she probably had sex by this time, which was rare. Maybe she hadn't. I really think it was rare because, you're starting high school, you generally may or may not have had sex. It was kind of always a guess, like, who's done it yet, of your friends, like trying to guess, and no one really wanted to ask unless you were close enough for them to say, yep, I did. And it was always this thing, like, if somebody actually had sex, you'd see them come in and they'd have this, like, glow about them, like, I just had sex. Sort of. Your hair is messy, maybe you have kind of a weird, like, grin on your face, but it's not like this romantic, like, Beverly Hills 90210 Brenda and Dylan type thing the first time. It's actually, it can be a little painful. With the advent of tampons, you kind of alleviate the pain of breaking the hymen. If virginity has to do with breaking the hymen, then a lot of women who in their early years use tampons regularly when they first start having their period, then they're not virgins when they have their periods. But that's not what constitutes sex, is having your hymen broken, or it shouldn't be anymore. Anyways, there's a lot more to sex than a tampon than insertion. Or should be. So where were we? We were talking about sex. By this time, I hadn't really had sex that I would count. Lots of sexual action, and so I think that my friend was bored and we were on the phone and she was probably talking about things that she liked to do because she was looking for someone to talk to. And so we could talk for hours on the telephone. We could. I saw D today. I think he looked older, but that's to be expected since it's been 2 years. I have changed as well. You should see him now. And it's weird because, it's been a minute, but I think I saw him in my early 30s and I found him really annoying. And I was like, I just saw him there and I was like, he was just making really dumb jokes, and it was at a 4th of July, like, event at the Vineyard Club, and he was in his 30s, and he was just making really dumb jokes, and I found him, and, like, really kind of obnoxious. Like, people were reading these, like, 4th of July themed, like, you know, in America, when you go to a 4th of July event, oftentimes they'll read, like, from the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. That's a big one. And he was being rowdy, like not rowdy, but he was making jokes and they're kind of obnoxious, and I found him annoying. And I was like, oh, why did I ever see this guy when I had a crush on him when I was 12? And I was single, and he was single that I know of. It could have been my chance, or his chance. Okay, sorry. I have changed as well in 2 years. We're both like, last time we saw each other, we were 13, and now we're all of 15. Whoa, of course. I used to like him, and I think I used to bother him, probably in my past, and maybe even frequently. I didn't know how to be social. I had a lot of anxiety growing up based on the way I was raised and being around people. I didn't know how to, especially getting into middle school, high school, I didn't know how to be in a relationship, or I'm not even talking about romantically. I'm just saying friendship-wise. I didn't know how to engage in a friendship other than like, hi, how are you doing? And hey, I want to hang out with you. But like, what then? Especially with a guy, it was worse. And even sometimes with a friend. So I probably would become a little seemingly obsessive because I didn't know how to engage on a normal level. So I'll admit that. I think I used to bother him. He was driving, and he probably had forgotten about it at this time, so I'm remembering all this, and this is what he's doing. And smiling. And maybe they see me, and they're like, oh, there's the so-and-so, oh well. He's thinking nothing of the same. Oh, and that's that girl I grew up with. Like, that's it. Anyway. I think he's on my friends list, but he's hardly ever on Facebook. I should go bother him now. Oh my god. Driving, and his father sat in the passenger seat. Perhaps his mother was in the back seat. Where she belongs. I'm kidding. Why does she belong? I could not tell. Well, this is very boring. Perhaps he was practicing driving with his parents as I was with my father. He looked at me. He probably did this. Like, I looked at him. And he probably was driving. We were both practicing driving. And maybe his mom was in the back seat. I thought maybe I saw bodies, and maybe. But maybe it was just him with his dad, and I was with my dad. And we were both practicing driving. And we were both like, hey, we're 15 and learning to drive. We're like, and I had all these thoughts like a girl does, that's especially influenced by like Beverly Hills 90210 at the time. Like, everything has to be like a drama. Oh, guess what? And of course, like, this is like a chance encounter, and I probably called my friend, guess who I saw? Or maybe I didn't, because I don't think at the time I had friends that, I had a different set of friends, so I wouldn't really associate with him as much. And like, it had shifted. Like, I don't think I could call it, Root of All Evil Boy and be like, guess who I saw driving? Like, he was in my life. Maybe C, who I knew since I was 3, But I don't think it would have the same energy. So I think it was just kind of like I thought this was like a symbolic just passing away, and now I'm laughing at myself, at my 15, 16-year-old self. I'm like, haha, I'm such a dork. But at the time, I probably made it. Obviously, I wrote about it. As I was with my father, he looked at me. I recognized him. Well, duh. I wonder what he thought of me. See, he probably was like, hey, do I know her? Or, oh yeah, it's her. He was smiling. Maybe he was smiling because he was like, oh, hey, there she is. And I took it as something bigger. My dad really didn't seem to notice, probably because he was like, my daughter is driving. Like, and she's a new driver, and I'm terrified. Part of me longs for one night. Here comes. Part of me longs for one night of lust with him. No strings attached. Just to kiss and kiss until our passion is all run dry. I find it interesting that at this point, after the big breakup that had happened earlier and like that we talked about, that it caused the suicidal ideation and the big depression break and all of that, and then all of the friend leaving, the other best friend going off with my boyfriend that had just broken up with me like an hour before, all that horrible stuff. Part of me, it's interesting that I'm writing about how no strings attached, I just want to make out with him. And then you see these other stories, like the B as in Heat that I read a couple episodes ago. And it was all about this woman who just like didn't, like she wanted to use men. And so I find it interesting that that with D, that I just wanted to have one night of passion. Okay, I could try to find a picture of what he looked like then. And probably I'd be like, what was I ever thinking? But I do find it interesting that I was trying to not engage. Because if he and I had actually had our one night of passion or made out in that fashion, in that way, I don't think I would have wanted more than just no strings attached. I'm not even as I'm older and like, and I'll talk about this in the film I'm about to start working on. We're gonna start filming hopefully soon. We've had a lot of like starts. It's great. But my character talks about these times that she went out and had an oops. And they're based on experiences that I actually had. I don't use the guys' names. But when in my 30s, right after I got divorced from my dad. No, what did I just say? Oh my God. Ugh, that's gross. Maybe that's symbolic. But no, after I got divorced from my husband, I wasn't even divorced yet. I was separating, and I was kind of divorcing an old part of my life that had been kind of subjugated, and this was the first early steps out of that. Like I was actually exploring Christianity in a different way, or moving away from Christianity, but it was all new. And for the first time ever, and I never had experience, even when I was younger, I never took a guy home or just like had a little one night or whatever. And I had those experiences, and I remember I didn't like that was it. And I decided I did that twice. One of them went for about 2 or 3 times. And then the other, and I just left him. I mean, no, then it just kind of ended. But the other, just one night. And I just remember there didn't seem to be a kind of a connection emotionally. One of them is sort of a mental, kind of somewhat a little bit, but not much. And I just wasn't in the place. And I remember I decided that's not what I wanted. Now, so that goes along with the fact that I know I am more on the asexual spectrum. I don't want to have sex with anyone unless there's some kind of a connection emotionally, mentally. And it doesn't necessarily mean a long-term relationship, but it just means I don't want to have an emotional, mental connection. Like, I'm all over the place today. I don't want to not have that. I can't be with someone unless, like, I can't have a no strings attached thing. I can't have a one night stand because I'm gonna want more. And yes, that goes into my relationship addictions, that I can become super hyper fixated and attached to something as a distraction, as a sort of a drug. But at the same time, I am a demisexual. I am a person that does not need to have sex unless, or does not want to have sex or any sort of relationship unless there is an emotional or an intellectual connection. And so no strings attached, kind of one night stand. I don't look at the physical. I mean, I look at the physical, but I'm not necessarily just attracted to that. Like, if somebody showed up like a beefcake, like somebody brought me like a magazine of like beefcake men, and we're like, aren't these guys hot? I'd be like, I don't know. And then if you say you bring me Brad Pitt, like, I think Brad Pitt is attractive, but that's because he has I've seen him act, and I've seen him just in interviews and things, and I like his personality. I don't know him personally enough to really have an emotional mental connection, but I have a, what is it called, a parasocial relationship in a way, where I am attracted to the acting that he does and his sort of like sense of humor that he shows off in his interviews and such that I have seen. And so yes, I find him attractive, but it's also the kind of other sides that I have seen. So this goes back to D. If D had, and I had that like night of lust, like, it would just be kissing, right? Whatever. Or if it, and that was it, he'd probably be like, well, I want more. He'd be trying to come. I don't think I would have just been able to be like, that's it, dude, we'll never see you again. Which is, I mean, obviously in our 30s we saw each other, and maybe if we had had a little thing like that, then when we saw each other in our 30s, it would have been more than just like, or you're annoying me making these obnoxious jokes, will you shut the F up? No, I didn't think that. Poor guy. I'm going to end there because I've been talking and rambling for a while, and I didn't mean to do that. The last have been a lot more simple. But unlike D, driving in the car that gets just no strings attached, I will say, well, no. D deserves this too. Even though, whatever. Even though he was obnoxious at a 4th of July party, and I just wanted to make out with him, no strings attached, he deserves this too. And what's that? Well, you matter. Your life matters. You are loved. You are worthy of love. And always remember to love your thrive and find your sunshine.